is Captain Chaudhary. I was talking about enhanced survey program, and we will progress ahead in respect of enhanced survey program. I had already said that enhanced survey program is not a new type of survey. It is a new method of surveying a bulk carrier or a tanker. So now enhanced survey program basically talks about the same surveys, that is annual survey, intermediate survey, and renewal survey. And now when it comes to renewal survey is closely associated with the dry docking. Now enhanced survey program, therefore, we can say directly relates to one statutory certificate for sure, and that is ship construction certificate. So ship construction certificate would be considered valid or renewed provided the vessel is dry docked. So these bulk carriers and tankers, usually it would be expected that whenever renewal is happening, the dry docking happens. But in respect of dry docking, we have the usual rules that the ship should be dry docked in twice in 5 years, and the interval between the two dry docking should not be more than 36 months. But then if you see the harmonization of ship survey system and all that, there you have extended dry docking, which probably is relevant more to the general cargo vessels. So the extended dry docking under the pilot scheme means like you could be exempted from dry docking. So not only once, sometimes twice. That means nearly for 7.5 years. So that particular EDD or pilot scheme does not usually apply to the bulk carriers and tankers. So when we talk about the bulk carriers and tankers, usually we categorize them between the ships which are less than 15 years old and ships which are more than 15 years old. The ships which are less than 15 years old, the alternate survey may be exempted for the ships which are less than 15 years old. That means if you are not renewing the certificate, if it is not pertaining to renewal survey, right, that particular survey can be done in water. Right? If you look at SOLAS chapter 1, or if you look at MS Construction and Survey of Cargo Ships 1991, then you will find that they talk about the inspection of the hull, underwater hull. Even SOLAS talks about inspection of underwater hull. So if you see the harmonization of ship survey resolution, there they talk about the dry docking. So dry docking must be done in case of, now as the ESP says, the dry docking must be done. That means the vessel should be out of water at the time of renewal survey. So let us understand that whenever the bulk carriers or tankers, they are undergoing renewal survey under enhanced survey program, we would say that the dry docking is done at the time of renewal. So the ships which are more than 15 years old, their underwater hull inspection should be done in dry dock. Another thing is, if you are giving exemption, of course, if you are giving exemptions for the ships which are less than 15 years of age, the other things also must be considered, like the facility, the workshop who is going to do that, they are capable of doing this. They have got proper equipment that they can do underwater. Of course, most important is the water should be good. The water should be transparent so that the videography can be taken off, and the paint quality also should be good. So there are various factors upon which the administration may or may not allow the in-water survey. Now we are talking about two very important regulations in respect of dry docking. That interval between the two dry docking should not be more than should not be more than 36 months, number one, and number two, at the time of renewal survey, the vessel must be dry docked. If any of these conditions is not met, then your ship construction certificate will be jeopardized. So soon after the questionnaire is submitted, the program in respect of survey will be decided. Now, this is once again with the cooperation of the two parties, that is, the administration and the ship owner, or ship owner and the classification society. Well, the ship's particulars will be submitted along with the document file containing all the relevant documents which would be necessary, they would be submitted. Then the structural plan along with the areas where high tensile steel is used. One of the very important things that would be needed when you're doing survey planning, is like in what way you're using these tanks. What was the cargo like? What kind of cargo, if there was any specific cargo that needs to be mentioned apart from the general kind of cargoes that you have been carrying, and in what way you were doing the maintenance of these tanks or the holds. What was your corrosion prevention method? Now, as a last minute check in respect of preparation, like you're just ready for doing the survey, you will check various things. For example, the holds and tanks, they are clean. You've got gas freeing certificate. They are absolutely safe for entry as far as the atmosphere is concerned, lighting is concerned, and your access that is provided is as per ship structure access manual, which is approved and which complies with the requirement of SOLAS chapter 2.1 and also as per the guidelines of IX, right? Sometimes the administration has a discretion, like even if it is not conventional procedure that is used in providing you access, but it appears safe, and the ship owner has taken all the precautions to ensure that there is safety and contingency that is required to be exercised, so they might approve that particular method. So tanks are clean, they are gas freed, and the access manual is approved by both the parties, and equipment are ready. Whatever are the required equipment, they are ready now for the survey, so we can basically start the survey. Finally, the subjects of the survey will be nominated. Nominated means they have specified, like now this tank, this area, this bulkhead, etc. So nomination of holds and tanks and the areas for close-up inspection, nomination of sections for thickness monitoring, nomination of tanks for testing. So ship structure access manual must be provided. It applies to the oil tankers of 500 gross and above and bulk carrier of 20,000 gross and above. And the manual is guided by Resolution MSC 158/78. Regulation 3.6 of Chapter 2.1 mandates various aspects of ship structure access manual. If you have a plan of ship structure access manual which is required by this regulation, then number one is the requirement which is given in SOLAS, and then there are these guidelines which are given in IX, specific guidelines in respect of the various kinds of equipment which are or the means which are given to reach a particular position for close-up survey. So if you have a plan, then it should show like from which place you can enter the compartment, and like when you enter the compartment, from which position you should look at the area to be inspected. The plan should also identify the critical structure areas. Critical structure areas means you find out by, as we have discussed before, you either find out from the calculations like which areas should be considered as critical, or from the past history, or from the sister ship experience, or the past damage of the same ship experience. So these critical areas, must be accessed. So this is what is given in guidance, that is the ship structure access manual plan. Now, when you're using the plan, it is stated that whoever is using these access to reach the place, first he must read all the precautions, all the dangers which are associated, all the safety precautions which you have taken must be taken. So when you're using portable ladder, that ladder has to be stable. It has to be firm on ground. So it shouldn't happen that when a person goes on the ladder, he finds it uncomfortable or unsafe to work from there. Then they say that when you're using portable ladder, it's suitable, if the surveyor feels so, it is suitable up to say height of 5 meters. So higher heights you have to have a more secured arrangement. So you might have uh, something like cherry picker or a hydraulic platform which will be lifted by a person who's expert on that. So usually these hydraulic arms or platforms, etc., when they're used, they are operated by a person who has expertise on it. So he's a person from shore, so he'll be using it. He knows the precaution and he will tell what precautions have to be taken by the people who go on these platforms. So if you're using rafts, etc., the ship's the hold or the tank should have capability of withstanding. So tanks naturally will have the capability, but the hold has capability of withstanding the hydro dynamic pressure, and they also have to consider the weather outside if the ship is rolling, etc. So it may not be safe to be inside a tank where the water is there on the raft. So these rafts, as I said before, also must be robust, and it shouldn't happen that if one of the buoyancy chamber is damaged, the raft goes down. A person who's using the raft has to wear life jacket. He has to wear the appropriate protective gear when he is doing the survey. The surveyors have to agree for it. And you can't force a surveyor that we have only this means of reaching the access. This has to be acceptable to the surveyor. Now imagine on the tanker you are trying to go under deck, and then in the underdeck areas you have deep girders, etc. So depending on the size of the girder, you might have certain conditions to be fulfilled when a raft is used. So now equipment are ready, whole tanks are ready, and lighting is there, sufficient lighting is there. Now the person, the surveyor wants to go to do the close-up survey. He has to be always accompanied by somebody from the ship, and there should be always this safety meeting that is held. Every now and then the safety meeting must be held, considering all the pros and cons of the situation that is ahead of them. Sometimes surveyor might want to take a specialized equipment for detection of the fracture. So some of these equipments are radiographic equipment, ultrasonic equipment, magnetic particle equipment, and dye penetrant. So these are the specialized equipment which a surveyor might want to use. So that's it about this video. In the next video I will be talking about the various documents which have to be maintained on the ship, and in general we will talk about the various annexes which are given in the ESP code.